Hello, and welcome everybody to today's Tips and Tricks webinar. Today's topic is an overview of HealthCheck Point. Please use the Q&A chat if you have any questions. We'll make sure we get to those during the webinar. Our presenter today is an SC from Maryland, David Hanson. David, what do you have for us today?
Rob, appreciate it. My name is Dave Hanson. Greetings to everyone. Like Rob said, I'm a security engineer from the Big East region. I cover strategic accounts in Maryland. I've been working for SC. Let me start over. I've been working as an SC for Checkpoint for just over 6 years. And of those 6 years, I've been lucky enough to work for Michael Meyer, my boss.
Lucky you.
It's really helped me with being at Checkpoint.
Is he on here? Is that why you're?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I figured I would put it out there because he's my boss.
Okay.
I'll get some kudos on it. I want to thank Rob for giving me the opportunity to present to you. A little over 2 years ago, I presented on HCP. At that time, I was more about just adopting HCP as a health check versus the normal health check that we had. And I figured it was time to cover it again. I was supposed to do this last year, and a few things came up that made me not be able to do it. So we're going to go ahead and we'll look at that. One thing I can mention is last night, Murphy's Law hit. My 3200 crapped the bed. I had issues using Danny's HCP extension for showing on 8120, but we made it work. So what I'm going to do is I'll do a quick review of the agenda. We'll get started. Almost everything I covered today is in the HCP SK, which is on the presentation, but all you got to do is look up HCP if you're in support, and it'll take you right to the first one. I have a little bonus at the end of the presentation. It's not a luggage tag. It's not compartmentalized travel bags, but it'll be something that's useful. Let's go ahead and let's get this party started. Rob, are you showing or am I on the presentation?
You're presenting.
That's what I thought. Give me 1 second.
Yep, no problem.
Here we go. Everybody good?
Yep, we got you.
Cool. So give me 1 second. Basically, we'll go ahead and we'll move on. We'll look at the agenda. I just did the intro, who I am. Rob did a real nice intro for me. We'll talk about why you should use HCP. And honestly, I'm going to call it HCP because HealthCheck Point does not roll off my tongue real well. We'll look at the availability, known limitations. Then we'll look at how you can view the HealthCheck reports, which to me was something I wanted to fix. And what I mean by that is there's a couple of different ways you can look at these reports. And I'm going to cover all of them, but I'm going to show you something I did that one of my customers asked me for at the end that may be helpful for the folks on the call. So let me go ahead and we'll get started. Why do you want to use HealthCheck Point or HCP? My customers as a way to transition from being reactive to proactive. And what I mean by that is if you're looking at your HCP reports on a regular schedule, you're going to see small problems that you can probably get fixed before they come sleep interrupters, before they wake you up on the weekend when you're on call. One of the biggest reasons is it provides you health and configuration reviews of your entire checkpoint estate as far as appliances and open servers. I mean, I believe it's probably the best tool that we can use to check health on your checkpoint estate. Provides an easy to read report, suggestions around SK references, and what HCP considers issues with your gateways and management servers. If you want to know what's going on with your checkpoint devices, use the HCP report, review it regularly. Parts of the modules within HCP, like what's the story, will provide you a historical timeline around critical and informative events that have occurred. The topology tab is real nice if you work with VSX. And then support has been asking for HCP reports, as you've probably found out, when you call in on tickets. One thing they can do is they can look at that HCP report and get a real quick look at maybe what is causing the issue, and then be able to drill down from there on whatever you've already uploaded. One of the other, there we go. One of the other reasons why is it's just a better state of mind. I mean, I was a support engineer for almost 15 years. And one of the things that I dreaded, and it came to a point where you almost anticipated it, was being on call, having to change window, and knowing you're going to get called. You just know you're going to get called. Whether it's the steps in the change weren't concise enough or whatever it may be. So one of these things is if you're using HCP, you may be able to prevent yourself from having to get called. So that's the other reason. Availability on HCP, it can use it on all of our quantum gateways, scalable chassis, anything VSX. I mean, you guys can read. It's available on everything that we sell as far as appliance or open server today. Has a few lone limitations, cluster test. If you have more than 2 members in a cluster, it'll look at that third one as being down. And then Maestro has the MTU test can take a little time to run. This is probably where I think, as I said, I had a customer who came to me and he says, I like your health check report. It's great. He goes, it gives my engineers stuff to do. If I see something, we can schedule changes. We can do what we need to do. But the issue, he said, is it's a pain in the ass. I can't look at it. I can't look at it as a manager. I want to be able to go and look at all the reports in one place. I want to drill down myself. So we'll get to that. But one thing that's changed, I think this is only available on 8120. I think this is when this started. You can go and grab HCP by going to your browser and bringing up the report. And that'll draw or pull the latest report for you off of HCP. The other thing is we have Danny's HealthCheck, and I think I have Danny's last name wrong, but Danny's HealthCheck. And you can grab that off at Checkmates. Like I said, I had an issue last night running it on 8120, take 76. I didn't have a time to troubleshoot it, but I loaded it up on 8110 last night, take 156, and it was working fine. And we'll take a look at that. The other thing you can do is you can download it via SCP to your local machine, extract it, click on the index file, it'll bring it up in browser. Not all of us have direct access to our gateways. You may end up having to jump this through another server, which just makes it kind of even more of a difficult way to view it. So last night, while I was getting ready to present, I told you my 3200 crapped the bed. I had an 80 SMS running 8120, and I couldn't get it to work with HCP. So I was sitting here going, all I'm going to be able to show you guys is the fact that you can look at it via browser, or you can download it via WinSCP. Now, for me, that wasn't good enough. So a couple of weeks ago, I started working on this idea where my customer asked me, I want to be able to download all of these and look at them one at a time in one place. So I thought there's got to be a way to do this using Python or some coding language. And I thought, well, maybe I can figure that out. So a couple of weeks ago, and trust me when I say this, I don't know Python. I'm not a coder. I got a pair of Python snake boots when I graduated from high school. That's about as far as it went. So I decided to go on Copilot, on Microsoft, on Bing, and ask it to do this for me. I wanted to be able to grab each GZ file from each gateway, from each device, download it, extract the contents, and view it in one place. That was my goal. And since I had to rebuild everything last night, I had some time to look at it. So I went to Microsoft and typed in exactly what I wanted it to do. This is what it gave back to me, and I'm going to go ahead and stop with the presentation. I'll bring it up here. So let me go ahead and I'll set the stage on what I have here. I have an Ubuntu server. You'll notice it's labeled Skyline. This is my Skyline server. I don't have Skyline running on it right now, and I'll talk about that in a minute.
Hey, David, sorry, real quick. Is it possible to make that font bigger? That is very
Let
difficult.
me, God, I would assume so, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure what.
Let's see.
Change settings.
Settings. Let's go to you guys, window appearance.
Yeah, I didn't see the window that popped up.
There it is.
Yeah, if you can't find it, that's okay. We can zoom. Okay, go ahead.
There you go.
Oh, there
All
you
right.
go. Perfect. Thank you.
There, no problem. So what I did is I have this Ubuntu server, LTS 2204. And I'm using it for my Skyline environment or for doing open telemetry stuff. And I decided to put a web server on it and see if I could write a Python script that would download GZs, all the HCP GZ files, extract it, and then put it on my web server to view. So let me go ahead and I'll bring up the script. You'll see, let's see, we'll get started right here. This is where I did catted it. It's Python. It goes out to, I just have my devices with IPs. I don't have host names on them. Grab a username, password, goes to my local directory on this Ubuntu server, shows a base directory of my web server. And it goes out and it grabs a file, and you'll see it at the end, but basically grabs a file with a file name pattern of HCP underscore report, brings it down to my local directory, and then extracts all the tar contents over to my web server. All right. So when I run this, as I learn how to spell my own name, it'll go out and it'll grab it. It'll give you report back that it's grabbed the file, extracted the contents, extracted it out to your web server. So this is what I get when I go out and I see that, right? So we'll go here. This is my web server. Extracted my contents to here. Actually, I have a new report out there. So HCP ran, it runs every 6 hours that I'd mentioned. You can look at the report. That's it. Drill into the report. You can look at timelines. You can look at charts. Topology. It's all there. But what I didn't have to do, what the Python script did for me, was it downloaded it, extracted it, did everything that it needed to do for me. So my ideal goal, and I didn't have enough time to get this done last night, would be from this, when you go here, you would get to your host name. That would be the directory. You would drill down on the host name. You would have your latest HCP report. You would also have your archived reports. So that's my next goal. I'll post this out on my GitHub. I just got to figure that out. Like I said, I'm not a coder, so I'm just starting to get used to it. But I figure, in my opinion, you have all these different ways you can look at it. Like I said, we have Danny's extension, which is great because you can look at the latest, but you can also fetch live. One thing I wouldn't do is do that when you have a problem. That's why I would say I would want to be able to, if I can't get to a box to even look at the health report, you would at least have some downloaded somewhere that may give you an indication what's going on with your device. But with Danny's, like I said, you can fetch latest, you can fetch live. If you haven't seen this, it's a great tool. But again, this is great if you have a couple of boxes and you're only looking at something at one time. But if you have 150 boxes, it'd be nice to be able to see them in a list and not have to go and grab all the files, or at least log into every device to see it. So see what I had left in this presentation, Rob. I think that was it in general. I don't know if we have any other questions that we have.
Hold on 1 second here.
This
Well, first question, so is this tool already in the gateway installed? They have to download and install it?
There, it should be in every gateway install. I believe this came out in R8010 and should be on everything. There are some occasions where you may need, so let me put it this way. There are customers that can have auto updater turned on. They just can't. So you can actually, you may find out that this isn't installed. So you can actually install it manually. The instructions on installing this manually are in the SK. But if you don't have updater installed, you would also have to install that too, as I understand it. But yeah, it should be everything. It should be in every product and open server product.
Okay. Does it work with the Spark appliances also, or just full Gaia?
I haven't, you know what? Let's see. I don't think they call it out here. I don't know if it will work with Spark. It would have, we'd have to check to see if HCP's installed.
Okay, I'll get back to you on that.
Right. I mean, if we're in Spark, I don't think we're running anything
Any
something
special,
older than 810, right?
right?
Okay.
Any special utility to extract HCP output file?
If you haven't used Copilot or Chat GPT or any of that yet, it's all about the prompts, how you prompt them. That's why prompt engineers got like $200,000 for about an hour. And then that all went away because everybody figured out all you have to do is put in the right prompts. What I did, I literally took plain language and put it into Copilot. And I can show that. But ultimately, the one thing about Copilot, don't take whatever you get back, put your username and passwords in there or whatever method you use to access the environment, and then feed it back into Copilot because it keeps it. It'll use it every time that you update your code. I don't do that. I leave it as dumb as possible when it comes to access. I don't leave my username and password in and say, hey, this code didn't work. This is what it is. I'm going to feed it back to you. Tell me why it doesn't work. You can go back to and say, I got these errors, and it'll add error detection in for you. But yeah, it took me about 25 minutes last night after I sat down and mapped it out on paper what I wanted it to do. I wanted it to go to each device. I wanted it to go to a particular directory. I wanted it to grab a GZ file with a specific file name pattern. I wanted to download it locally to my home directory. I wanted to extract each tar, all the contents from that GZ file to my web server. I wanted it to be in a directory, and that's where I didn't get this working. I want it to be in a directory based on hostname. So if you've worked with AI, it's how you prompt, what you tell it to do, and it'll take you literally. So that's what I figured out over the past 2 weeks. I've been maybe too literal. So I dumbed it down last night and I was able to work this out like this.
Question here, how is HCP, is it automatically updated or do you have to manually update the tool?
No, so I believe it was an 8110 where they put a timer cron on it. So it runs every 6 hours now. So like I said, when I showed the web page, I didn't run this. I didn't manually run this off of this is my VM. It actually found a new latest. So ideally, like I said, my goal would be to have a directory called test-gateway1, GW1, and underneath that, you would see these tar directory files.
Okay.
So yeah, this is a brand new one that must have ran while we were talking, because it ran at 10:58 this morning.
Okay. I think,
Right.
I'm not sure. I think the question might have been on the tool itself, HCP, the tool itself. If there's any updates to it, do you have to?
Oh, no, they updated it. So if you look, I think I have it here. Just a second. So they'll usually update. You'll see they update the takes.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah, this is that you'll see this in the HK.
Okay, so it's just
And then I follow this HK, so I know if it's updated.
Gotcha.
The last update was 4th of July.
Perfect. How can you validate if HCP is running on a gateway?
You can go out. There's a command in well, you could actually just try to run it. And if you get an error back, it's failing. If you can't get HCP running, you can go call into TAC or Diamond and work with them on that. I have a customer who actually has some issues with HCP that I'm working on. But you can go out, you can look and see. Traditionally, if you bring up a gateway, you'll need to run HCP-R space all to run all the tests. But traditionally, you won't have to run it again after that on a gateway. The updates are done automatically via auto updater. That goes back to if you're not using auto updater, financial institutions, whatever it may be, you will need to manually update auto updater before you can update HCP.
Got it. Okay, I think that covered the questions, had some dupes, and I think you already covered it. So thank you. Please, if you have any other questions, type them in quickly here. We'll get to them. But with that, we'll finish out here. David, thank you for the great information. We'll send out the follow-up email. David said, hopefully it's GitHub, the SK that we're referencing here and any other relevant content. Our next webinar will be in 2 weeks. You'll see an invitation for that soon. Let me check questions one more time before I go. Nope, no more questions. So thanks again, everyone. Thank you, David. And we'll see you all here next time.
Hang on 1 second, Rob. Hang on.
Yeah.
I got one more thing.
Sure.
Go Vikings.
Oh, no. That wasn't worth the wait.
Rob, thanks you. I couldn't believe you're a Vikings fan. It really surprised me.
I'm not a Vikings fan. All right. Now we're ending this call.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate everybody.
Bye.
Have a great
Thanks,
weekend.
everyone.
Thank you for your time.
Bye all. Thanks.